Did Michael Cole drop a CM Punk reference last night on Monday Night Raw during a promo with Seth Rollins? Details on that, plus Johnny Gargano makes his return to WWE TV, reuniting DIY. A tag team championship match has been announced for Fastlane this weekend. Rhea Ripley makes her return to WWE TV. USA Network spoils the signing of Brian Pillman Jr. to WWE. The new NXT North American champion Trick Williams appears on Raw last night. Becky Lynch invites Indy Hartwell to appear on NXT tonight on USA Network. Ray Phoenix gives an update on his injury after Wrestle Dream this weekend. Kenny Omega provides an update on Kota Ibushi's AEW status. We got the ratings for last Friday's edition of SmackDown and an injury update on several AEW stars coming out of Wrestle Dream on Sunday. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Monday Night Raw. And was there a CM Punk reference during the broadcast? Well, some are suggesting yes, others are suggesting it was just a coincidence. Now, Michael Cole had an interesting segment with World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins where CM Punk was maybe referenced, but how did it happen and what is the context surrounding it? Now, for one, the segment itself was about Michael Cole warning Seth Rollins of the dangers that lay ahead of him this coming weekend at Fastlane when he faces Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship. When Michael Cole said that he coined some of Rollins' nicknames, he took credit for calling him the Architect and others, but he also said that he's been called a manipulator and a puppet master, but said that in the situation with Shinsuke Nakamura, he might be the one who is the puppet. It was quickly pointed out that the puppet and manipulator labels were, some at least thought, a direct reference to CM Punk's first pipe bomb promo back in Ring of Honor in 2005. The 2005 promo was the original version of the pipe bomb and kickstarted the summer of Punk in Ring of Honor as he was making his way to WWE. 6 years later, CM Punk cut a similar promo, breaking the fourth wall and turning into an icon of the wrestling business at the time, starting the second summer of Punk during his infamous feud with John Cena after leaving the company, then coming back, Money in the Bank 2011. We know the whole story. Now, CM Punk was fired from AEW following a backstage altercation with Jack Perry at AEW All In a couple of months ago now, and it's instantly led to rumors of a potential return to WWE. Earlier this year, of course, CM Punk actually appeared backstage at a Raw event, not on television, but he made his way backstage at Raw and was seen talking to the likes of Baron Corbin, Tamina Snuka. He even had a brief conversation with Triple H, seemingly as an attempt to clear the heat that once he had with the company. Eventually, he was asked to leave the building at the request of Vince McMahon, who was not there in Chicago, but was working remotely. So, what are your thoughts on this? Did you think that this is a reference to CM Punk? Is this a reference that something could indeed be happening or something could indeed be planned for the future? Or is it just a case of social media getting a bit too carried away with things and looking into something that's not really there? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know your thoughts as always in the comment section below. Really interested to know what you guys think about this one. Again, is it paving the way for a CM Punk return, or people just getting too excited about nothing? Let me know your thoughts about that. Now, Johnny Gargano made his return to WWE television last night on Raw. At long last, Tommaso Ciampa has found Johnny Gargano, and all he had to do was catch a group beating from Imperium to make it happen. After searching high and low for Gargano for months on end to no avail, Ciampa was reunited with his former DIY tag team partner / arch nemesis at the end of Monday night's edition of Raw. Gargano hit the ring to fend off Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci from beating Ciampa to a pulp following his unsuccessful Intercontinental Championship challenge against Gunther, as the champion casually waltzed away while his minions put the boots to the challenger. But then Gargano's music hit, and the former NXT champion saved the day, warding off Kaiser and setting up for a meeting in the middle, and the reunion was finally complete. Although, in a matter of unfortunate timing, Raw faded to black before they could hit their finishing move. Ciampa and Gargano as DIY won the NXT Tag Team Championships together at NXT TakeOver Toronto in 2016, defeating The Revival, now known of course as the AEW Tag Team Champions FTR, in a 2 out of 3 Falls match. The pair would split less than a year later when Ciampa attacked Gargano following a loss to the Authors of Pain. They'd go on to feud for the better part of the next year. They'd reunite to make their debuts on both Raw and SmackDown, but that was short-lived due to a neck injury suffered by Ciampa at the time. It wasn't until Monday night that the two seemed back together together full-time and ready to shake up the tag team division on the main roster. What are your thoughts on Johnny Gargano being back on WWE TV and reuniting with Tommaso Ciampa? Now, a tag team title match has been announced for this coming weekend's edition of Fastlane after the latest in a series of confrontations between some form of combination of Cody Rhodes, main event Jey Uso, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and members of the Judgment Day on last night's episode of Raw. Adam Pearce made his way up the ramp to announce that enough was enough and it was time to settle things once and for all. The makeshift tag team of Rhodes and Uso will now challenge Damian Priest and Finn Balor for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships at Fastlane this coming Saturday. Both challengers have an impressive pedigree when it comes to the tag team titles, with Rhodes being a 6-time champion with various partners, while Uso is an 8-time tag team title holder alongside his twin brother Jimmy. The two have also had the longest tag team title reign in WWE history, which was ended at the hands of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 39 Night 1 earlier this year. So this tag team match is now official for this weekend. Now, last night's edition of Raw saw the return of Rhea Ripley to WWE TV, and she was all over the broadcast last night. Well, there was meant to be a match between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to start the night. Instead, a big brawl and a Rhea Ripley return. While the show kicked off with Jax and Baszler brawling, they were joined by Raquel Rodriguez and then the return of Rhea Ripley. With Jax the common enemy, everyone started fighting as there was a pull-apart brawl, and eventually security and staff were able to separate the women. But not before Ripley dropped a couple of men with the Riptide, of course. Rhea Ripley then stayed in the ring and said she wasn't going anywhere because she had some business to take care of. Now, she had some business to take care of when it came to the Judgment Day because she gave Dirty Dominic Mysterio an ultimatum on last night's episode of Raw after he lost his title at No Mercy. With Ripley seemingly chastising her Judgment Day teammate and her pappy, certainly, that's what she calls him, doesn't he? With Dirty Dominic Mysterio. She chastised a lot of people as well. She chastised Priest in some recent discord for the recent discourse within the faction. He was not concerned. Flipping the inquiry back around to Rhea, Priest noted that he still has titles and his contract, but wondered where Dom's title had indeed went. Ripley turned her attention to Dom, saying that she got him a championship match on tomorrow's episode of NXT against Trick Williams. So it looks like there's at least a hope to get the title back. Furthermore, if Dom doesn't come home from NXT with the title, he shouldn't even bother coming home at all. Eventually, Jey Uso interrupted and a brawl broke out, including Cody Rhodes saving Uso from Priest, Mysterio, and JD McDonough, who came out to assist as well. So that's, as I mentioned, led to the discussion about the Tag Team Championship match that has been made official for Fastlane this coming weekend as well. Now, a bit of an update when it comes to Brian Pillman Jr., because his signing, even though it's been teased recently on NXT television, has actually been spoiled and confirmed by the USA Network. Former AEW star Brian Pillman Jr. set to make his way over to the NXT brand imminently. On last week's NXT show and at No Mercy, a mysterious vignette aired showing a man watching footage of the Cincinnati Bengals and a WCW Nitro on television, as well as a montage of previous second-generation stars. Fans very quickly worked out that the videos were for Pillman due to the obvious clues, as well as a reflection of a shirt he wore on AEW television being seen in the television screen. Well, just to eliminate any shred of doubt, USA Networks themselves have spoiled the identity of the man behind the videos, releasing a new article on the arrival of Brian Pillman Jr. to the brand. In the article, USA Network names Pillman as the man behind the vignettes, as well as discussing his signing from AEW. They write, quote, "It's yet another savvy signing by WWE as they pluck yet another aspiring superstar away from the competition and welcome another world-class athlete to the WWE locker room. Here's why WWE Universe should be excited for the eventual in-ring debut of Brian Pillman Jr. Now, it's not known yet when Pillman Jr. will make his debut on the NXT brand. Of course, when he does, we'll let you know in a future video. Speaking of NXT, Trick Williams was on Raw last night. We spoke about how Rhea Ripley has made sure that Dominic Mysterio is going to get a title rematch. But on the last night's episode of Raw, new NXT North American champion Trick Williams appeared on main roster television. After beating Dominic Mysterio for the NXT North American Championship at No Mercy, Trick Williams made an appearance on Raw in a backstage segment. While he was able to be interviewed briefly, his main roster moment was cut short by an approaching Judgment Day. With Trick pointing out that Dominic was more brave with his mammy around, Ripley confirmed that Judgment Day would appear on NXT tonight, that being on October 3rd. Earlier in the show, as I mentioned, Ripley revealed to Dom that she got him a championship rematch on tonight's episode of NXT against Trick. Furthermore, if Dom doesn't come home from NXT with the title, he shouldn't bother coming home at all. Are we going to be getting a title change tonight on NXT? Let me know your thoughts about that. Becky Lynch will also be on NXT tonight on USA Network. In a clip from backstage at Raw, a surprise challenger for Becky Lynch and the NXT Women's Championship may have been revealed. In the clip that can be seen on social media, Indy Hartwell has taken a picture of the NXT Women's Championship bout with the current rightful owner Becky Lynch approaching with protest. Hartwell pointed out she's simply admiring something that she never lost, to which Lynch countered she wasn't hard to find. Hartwell was right. She didn't lose the NXT Women's Championship. She vacated it due to an injury right as she was called up to the main roster. In fact, Becky Lynch confirmed she would be appearing on today's episode of NXT, and Hartwell suggested she might also pop by the Performance Center as well. Lynch, as I mentioned, was scheduled to defend her title against Tegan Nox on last night's episode of Raw, but due to Lynch not being cleared after an injury suffered at No Mercy, the match was postponed. I mentioned it was actually revealed prior to Raw that there was some unfortunate news regarding Becky Lynch. Fightful Select confirmed with WWE sources that Becky Lynch was not cleared to compete at last night's episode of Raw. It had been reported Saturday night that Lynch had sustained a laceration that required 11 stitches to close. She was originally scheduled to face Tegan Nox for the NXT Women's Championship. There was hope that Lynch would be able to compete, but that isn't on the card, so maybe they might rearrange that one to either maybe tonight on NXT. Probably most likely, though, they'll probably go back to Raw next week. Now, switching gears to AEW, Rey Fenix provided a bit of an injury update. AEW International Champion Rey Fenix was taken out of the opening contest, of the contest at Wrestle Dream, where the Lucha Brothers, the Young Bucks, the Guns, and Orange Cassidy and Hooked vied for a future title shot against the AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR. At the very onset of the match, the Guns targeted Fenix's injured shoulder, forcing the Luchador to become a non-factor for the rest of the bout, eventually won by the Young Bucks. It was subsequently revealed by the Wrestling Observer that Fenix's injury possibly was an angle designed to keep him out of the contest since he's been banged up for a while, especially following his victory over Jon Moxley at Dynamite Grand Slam last month. On Monday, Fenix took to Instagram to provide an update on his health, confirming that he had no intention of vacating the AEW International Championship. Quote, "The International Championship has been a big challenge," Fenix began. "The night I became champion, I left the arena with championship in my hands and with an old injury bothering me again. My first defense was painful. It did not allow the pain to stop me and continue until the fight was over. This coming Wednesday will be my second defense, and I'm doing my best to enter that ring and retain as the champion." He added, "I will defend this beautiful championship in any situation, as a luchador does not give up. A luchador will always leave everything in every battle. I am a real luchador and a man of 1,000 lives. Nothing and no one is going to stop me." As we spoke about, Fenix will make his second title defense against a familiar foe, Nick Jackson, on tomorrow's 4-year anniversary special of AEW Dynamite. In his first title defense last week, Fenix defeated veteran wrestler Jeff Jarrett to retain his gold in his first title defense. Now, a bit of an update as well when it comes to Kota Ibushi and his AEW status. Of course, Ibushi has made a handful of AEW appearances now. Ibushi took part in his third match for All Elite Wrestling at this weekend's Wrestle Dream pay-per-view event. Ibushi teamed with his Golden Lovers partner Kenny Omega, as well as Chris Jericho, in a losing effort to Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita, and Sammy Guevara of the Don Callis family. Following the show, Kenny Omega appeared at the Wrestle Dream media scrum, where he was asked about Ibushi's future in AEW and whether we will see him again in the company. He responded, quote, "I believe it's definitely a safe bet to say he'll be back. Ibushi and I, we've really gone through the ringer. We've been tossed into the meat grinder. Part of the reason I was motivated to go to DDT in the first place was because of Kota Ibushi. I really felt attracted to his style and outlook on professional wrestling. We've done everything we could to leave it all out there. We've broken ourselves over and over again just to build ourselves back up, break each other down again. I really feel like there is no else around us and our pursuit of our own personal best. We're each other's shoulders to cry on. It really means a lot now, after all this time apart in our current old man broken states, to be there and support each other, still train together for these matches and still go in front of a packed house with people like Chris and make magic." So Ibushi indeed will be back in AEW in the future. We got the ratings for SmackDown, Friday's episode of SmackDown on Fox. Last week, SmackDown showed a slight increase in viewership compared to the prior week, but experienced a decrease in the 18 to 49 demographic. According to a report from Sports TV Ratings, the viewership for the September 29 episode of SmackDown rose to 2.303 million viewers, a 3% rise in contrast to the 2.227 million viewership from the September 22nd episode of the show. However, the viewership of the 18 to 49 key demographic declined from 0.62 to a 0.60 for last week's show, which is a 4% decrease. SmackDown, though, was the most viewed sports show on Friday, September 29, ahead of the college football matches. The viewership for the September 22nd episode of SmackDown declined significantly by 13% compared to the prior week, when The Rock made his return, resulting in a 23% boost in ratings. The return of LA Knight last week had been out previously for COVID, could have been one of the key reasons for the increase in viewership. This was reflected in YouTube viewership, as the full segment with John Cena and the Bloodline was the most viewed segment with over 800,000 views. The shorter clip showing Knight aligning with Cena was viewed by over 450,000 people. Another noteworthy segment from last week's SmackDown with Asuka coming to the aid of Charlotte Flair after Flair had been subjected to a beatdown by Damage Control, which was the third most viewed YouTube segment as well. So let me know your thoughts when it comes to the ratings for that. But LA Knight is proving to be just more than a ratings draw as well, because WWE's online shoppers are taking notice of LA Knight. According to estimates from WrestleNomics, Knight has had 71 items in the daily top 10 rankings on WWE's online shop, and his black Yeah shirt spent 30 days on the top 10 list, meaning that his products were moving out of the door fairly regularly, even surpassing that of brand talent like John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin as well. It should be noted that WrestleNomics was not able to factor in the volume of sales of the merchandise, as the study was strictly based on the traffic generated by Knight and his Yeah shirt. Last month, reports surfaced that Knight was due for a mega push, not long before he ended up getting his hand raised by John Cena at Payback. He will now be teaming against obviously Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa with John Cena at Payback this coming weekend. Knight nearly missed out on the big opportunity after testing positive for COVID-19 before last week's SmackDown, but he appears to have made a swift recovery. Knight is said to be viewed highly by management, as evidenced not only by the Cena interactions and the upcoming match, but also his victory in the SummerSlam Battle Royal, making the superstar the face of WWE's lucrative partnership with Slim Jim. Knight is currently rumored to be renegotiating his contract with the company, despite his current contract reportedly running through to 2025. Finally, a bit of an update when it comes to injuries coming out of WrestleDream, because there were quite a few this past weekend for AEW. This past week's AEW WrestleDream event was an action-packed show featuring the debut of Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge in WWE, along with hours of high-energy wrestling. The main event saw Christian Cage, Copeland's former tag team partner, retain the TNT Championship over Darby Allin in a brutal 2 out of 3 falls match, where Allin appeared at the media scrum following the show with his arm in a sling, much to the surprise of Tony Khan. The former TNT champion stated he was going to head to the hospital after the scrum to have his arm looked at, with no update since. Additionally, Mark Davis revealed on social media that he broke his wrist in the match between Aussie Open and FTR. It was clear when the injury came about, as Davis clutched the wrist and yelled angrily at one point during the match. Depending on the severity of the injury, the former IWGP Tag Team Champion could be out of action for the next several months, if not longer. Davis's partner Kyle Fletcher also took to social media, declaring that he did not know what would come next for the tag team. Yesterday on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez shared what they had heard regarding the supposed injury to Ray Phoenix, as we spoke about previously, which saw the AEW International Champion taken out of the Fatal 4-Way match just minutes into the bout. According to both men, Phoenix's injury was an angle designed to take him out of the match early. Phoenix has been banged up, with his AEW Grand Slam match reportedly due to one of the primary causes of this. The match saw John Moxley receive a concussion, forcing a mid-match audible that saw Phoenix capture the AEW International Championship. However, Phoenix is still set to defend the title tomorrow on Dynamite against Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. But there you go, guys. This is the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.